Welcome back to another episode of 100x Gem Show. Today, I'm by myself with someone special. We don't have Matthew today. Today, we're joined by Ozzy Reichley. Ozzy, welcome back. If you have seen other shows, you'll see Ozzy Reichley on our weekly consensus episodes, and also he's been in other couple shows, so you know Ozzy from before. But Ozzy, welcome back, man. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. Excited to join a gem show. Haven't done one of these yet, so should be fun.
This is your first time. And the way that we're doing it today, you guys have seen this sort of format before, but what we're doing is a show and tell edition. So I've brought a project today to share with Ozzy and tell him all about why I think it's a 100x capacity. And then he's going to tell me about his project, and we're going to share each other's back and forth questions. And what you guys, the audience, is going to be able to see is the type of questions that we ask ourselves as we look through a project. Hey, these are the kind of questions I'm thinking about in the back of my mind to see the potential of a gem, right? So when I share my project, he's going to be asking me questions. And when he shares his project, I'll be asking him questions. And if you've never seen the 100x Gem Show before, the basis of the episodes are this. We're looking at small market cap projects with the idea in mind of, can this project 100x? We're not looking at the quality of the project. We're not thinking, hey, is this high quality, low quality? We're just looking at the token, the tokenomics, the project itself, and think, hey, down the road, can this be a 100x gem? So with that in mind, the first project we're looking at today.
Before we dig into everything this episode has to offer, we want to highlight the awesome partners who sponsor this podcast and make it possible for us to work full-time on 100x. They're legends, and we appreciate them for supporting us. Astrobit is the king of automated trading, and now they've introduced a freemium model. Put those trading fees to use. How does it work? Sign up to an exchange with one of Astrobit's affiliate links and receive at least 30 free credits as a loyalty bonus. Then earn credits on your trading fees. The more you trade, the more credits you can generate. Use those credits towards trading bots and strategies. In other words, you can create a passive income stream at no cost. Find more deets in the description below. Imagine if Xbox existed without Xbox Live. No way for gamers to play games, no path for developers to find players. That is Web3 gaming right now. Disjointed, messy, fragmented. Shrapnel has the solution. Built on an AVAX subnet by Mark McCurry, head of blockchain and senior vice president at Consensus, with more than 20 years at Microsoft. This infrastructure, codenamed Bridge, is an all-in-one, modular, multi-chain solution to make Web3 accessible for Web2 devs. What the heck does that mean? It means real games can actually exist in Web3. No more dreaming. Real blockchain gaming is possible because of Shrapnel's codename Bridge. Find out more about Shrapnel and Bridge in the description below.
It's called Kompete. That's the project I'm bringing to the show today.
Okay.
Now, if you've never heard of Kompete, it's compete with a K. So it's not like your competitive type of word, but Kompete's actually a game that I'm looking at, and lo and behold, of course, is a game. I'm huge. If you've been listening to the show, you'll know that I'm really bullish on the GameFi space, and the Web3 gaming has a huge narrative for 2024 and just this whole bull market. So this Kompete game is an all-in-one multiplayer game. And what really caught my attention, this was actually shared to me by another one of our OC members. Checked it out, and what's really cool is that one, it's already available to play on things like Epic Games. You have a launcher. You can actually play it on Android. So you can start playing it today, which is actually something that's not seen very often with games that I've never really heard about. They tend to be on like early access beta, and you can just go ahead and play this today. And they have different game modes for you to check out. You have 4 different game modes, or 3 different game modes to try out right now. You have a Blitz Royale, which is a trios 3v3 against 27 other people that you just go into a map, you land, you get your loot, and then you kill everyone to try to be the last one standing. Then you also have a kart race mode where it's a kart race. You get into a little cart and you race around and you try to eliminate your opponents to get to be the first place. And then you also have a social deduction game, which is, if you've never heard of this before, it's like Mafia, and you have a thug and you have someone else trying to figure out who's the thug, who's killing everyone. And if you guess them right, you win. But if the Mafia person kills everyone else, they win. And they also have a simulation 3v3 and 5v5 basketball game that you'll actually be able to use your avatars to be able to play against other opponents. So that's what I really found really interesting, that a lot of games tend to have 1 game mode available right now, but these guys already have 3. And I tried out the game earlier today, and although there are some bugs and the graphics aren't that great yet, the game tends to run really well. So that's the game I'm bringing you today, Kompete another game show or another game that we're looking at today. What do you think?
Okay, my first question is the token used as rewards in the game, or is it used to play to access the game?
So the game is free to play for everyone, so you don't need to pay anything. I think before, if you had the token, that gave you early access to the early builds of the game, but now everyone can download it. I was able to just go on the Epic Game Store and download it, but what the game, according to their white paper, is going to be used for their bazaar, or I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly, their marketplace. So once you have those NFTs, you'll be able to trade those, and the tokens that you use is going to be their actual Kompete token.
Okay, so it's going to be the in-game currency. What's the inflation schedule look like? Is the full circulating supply out there, or is the supply slowly growing over time?
So the total supply was 1 billion tokens when they first launched, and then they burned 150 million of that on June 13th of 2022. And right now, according to their white paper, the total supply is 850 million minus, because of course of burn tokens, and their circulating supply is 675. I don't know if that's been updated since then or what's the latest update, but that's according to their white paper right now.
Okay, so circulating supply is fairly close to max supply. Interesting. So did you enjoy the game? Like, did you find the game fun?
Yeah, so if you go look up the game, what you'll see right now is a very Fortnite-esque sort of kind of game. It's a third-person shooter with those first-person mechanics when you ADS, and it was really easy to pick up. I mean, if you played Warzone, if you played Fortnite, if you played Apex, it's going to be very easy to pick up. And the competition wasn't too hard. I was fragging out in pretty much every single game that I played. And right now, the game mode that they have reminds me of Resurgence in Warzone. So if you've ever played that, you spawn in with 3 people. When you die, your game's actually not over. As long as 1 or 2 team members are alive, you have a cooldown, and then you come back in. And the games were really quick. That's one thing I really liked. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes to complete a game. Most games were over within 8 to 10 minutes, and then you go ahead and load up. The only thing that I did find here is that it took me a while to find that first match, because I'm assuming there's not a lot of people online right now. So whenever you decide to try this, you might find finding a match to be a little longer than usual.
Are they marketing it as a Web3 game, or are they just marketing it as a game?
On their tagline on Twitter, they say all-in-one multiplayer game, Blitz Royale, Kart Race, Social Deduction, and more to come. Currently in early access, play now on PC and Android. So no mention of Web3, no mention of NFTs, no mention of token, which I really like.
I generally like that. And do we see much mention of their token within their social media, or is it kind of not there?
So I think the approach that they're taking is right now, if you look at their Twitter, a lot of their stuff is about their patch notes. So they're constantly pushing out updates, fixing bugs, and putting out new features to the game. So they don't really actually talk a lot about the game, but when you actually enter the game, they'll tell you like, hey, you can either purchase, the battle pass, or purchase skins using fiat, which gives you like V-Bucks in those type of tokens that don't have any monetary value. Or if you want to dabble into Web3, you can actually use your Kompete token to buy those things as well. So you don't ever have to touch anything to do with Web3 if you don't want to. It's just additional, and like it's just an extra bonus if you do already have it.
It's a nice to have feature rather than a mandatory feature. Okay. Correct. That's interesting. Is the team doxed? I assume they're game developers, so they probably are, or are they?
I believe some of them are. On their white paper, I tried to look up the development team, but that section wouldn't load up for me. But then I went to their Telegram, and I saw some people with the team tag on their name actually be doxed. I don't know how fully doxed they are, but yes, I believe at least their core team members. I know their founder and game designer CEO is called Justin Meister. So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find them if you look hard enough.
Okay, and are they? How many followers do they have on Twitter?
Right now they have 16.7 thousand. So they're not super huge yet, but they have a sizable amount of people.
It's not negligible, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's enormous following. Okay, I think that's pretty interesting. I like what you're talking about. I guess one
thing I forgot to mention is the current price of the token right now is sitting at just above 5 cents with a market cap of 35 million according to Dex Screener. So 100x from here would be a $3.5 billion market cap. And as we mentioned, the circulating supply is very close to the fully diluted valuation. So the fully diluted would put it at a $4.4 billion market cap once it gets to that point, which when looking at games, and that's one thing that me and Matthew talk about very often, is like, can a game really be a couple $1 billion market cap? And if this was only a battle royale, I would be very hesitant. But what really made me think like, hey, this actually could have a potential is the fact that they have a lot of different game modes all at once, and they're not pushing the Web3 aspects for players. They're just allowing them to enjoy the game, fall in love with it first, and then if they want to go ahead and ease into those mechanics, then they can.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. It's good. I forgot to ask about market cap. That gives me a better idea. I mean, a $3.5 billion valuation at the end of this bull market for a game, especially more of a game ecosystem, isn't absurd. It's generally what I would say. Like if you look at IMX is somewhere around a $1.8 billion market cap, if not a little bit higher, and they've still got some supply to go out. So I don't think that that's totally out of the question. I mean, those are my main questions. You've answered quite a bit. How's the chart action been? That's I guess the other question that I do have.
So I'm looking at the daily chart, and back in July of last year, they were at a less than 1 cent per token. And just over the last couple months, they've really gone up from that less than 1 cent to around 5 cents back in January of this year. Like at the new year, that's when they reached the 5 cents. And then they went down a little bit, and now they're back to the 5 cents. But over the last, I would say 3 to 4 months, they've really been between that 3 to 5 cent range. So they haven't mooned, but they also have come a long way from where they were earlier last year.
Okay, that's interesting to know. I actually should correct myself. IMX is at a $4.25 billion market cap, not a $1 billion market cap. So this would put it below IMX at its current valuation. So definitely sounds reasonable. Do we have any key influencers like mentioning it? Does it have a lot of mentions anywhere, or is it still kind of on the low key side?
I think they're starting to work with influencers, and that's one of the reasons why I also started checking it out, was because I saw that they were starting to make some partnerships with certain influencers or certain people just to at least get them to try the game. Because I think that's the route that they're taking with being on Android, with being on sort of Epic Games. They're also coming to iOS and into the Mac stores, I believe. So they're really just trying to get gamers on it, get them to fall in love with it. And with that, it's just like, hey, let's appeal to not only the Web3 content creators, but also some Web2 content creators. So I think if they continue pushing that way, we may see them get some other adoption in that sense.
Absolutely. I was interested, especially just in terms of maybe like Twitch streamers or gamers in general, because if you've got gamers playing it, then generally that the valuation on the token will come. So, okay. That's do we have any idea of daily active players, or no, not yet?
I don't think they have those numbers out, but just from when I was able to try it, there's definitely not a lot of people online all the time, because it took me a while to find a match. But once I was able to find the match, most people that are playing tend to be on for a while, because those games are 8 to 10 minutes. You don't have to wait very long for the game to end. So I was able to find one person that was just with me for the 5 games that I tried, and we were just blasting. Like the first game I died because I didn't know what really was going on, but then I went on a 4-game win back to back to back. So right now there's not a lot of competition. So, and one of the things that they're doing is the battle pass that they have right now is free for everyone. You need to buy it, and all those sort of skins and things that you get are not NFTs out the gate. They're actually having you hey, you can just have the base skins if you want to have them, but if you want to go ahead and trade them and sell them for actual money, you actually have to use your token to convert them. That's what they call it, the conversion, to be able to make that from just a skin to an NFT, which I think is really awesome and brings more utility to the token itself.
Okay. I've got all the information that I think I need.
So what do you think? Could this potentially 100x?
I think that this could potentially 100x. I like one thing: their circulating supply is pretty close to their capped supply, their max supply. the token isn't being used as a reward token. It's being used as a marketplace and a kind of a currency token. And looking at potential valuation at 3.5 billion at 100x, that still puts them below IMX at its current valuation, and does put it below some other Web3 games and Web3 game ecosystems that are currently on the market. So even if those 5x, it would still be below those games and that gaming ecosystem. So I think it could 100x.
What are some things that you think could potentially stop it from 100xing?
I think adoption. One of the big things is if you don't have adoption of the game from just people playing it, then you're going to have a hard time driving value into that game because you don't have the transaction volume to really boost it. And then the other thing is, I think, not integrating or taking advantage of the Web3 community and making sure that you do push that aspect in certain channels to certain people, connecting with key influencers or connecting with other Web3 games for playtests and things like that. I think that would be a missed opportunity and a reason why the game wouldn't 100x and just stays kind of a novel indie game ecosystem.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes what games are trying to do now, especially with the negativity that a lot of people see or hear around NFTs, they're really trying to abstract away a lot of the Web3 aspects of games, which I'm all totally for. If that gets Web2 gamers just trying out the games without even realizing it, I'm all for that. But sometimes you can abstract it too much where people don't even realize it's a Web3 game and then never touch the Web3 aspects of it. So then it doesn't really go anywhere and it does just become another indie game that may not get a lot of adoption. So yeah, I'm super excited. And just as a disclaimer, I don't own the token right now, and neither does Ozzy. But right now, you're able to actually get the token on ETH mainnet. And also, they just announced that they're launching on Base as of 7 days ago or a week or two ago. So you can also get it on Base if you don't want to pay an arm and a leg for those gas fee tokens.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Before we dig into everything this episode has to offer, we want to highlight the awesome partners who sponsor this podcast and make it possible for us to work full time on 100x. They're legends, and we appreciate them for supporting us. In Web3 gaming, the approaches have essentially been to offer the entire world and fail to deliver, or spend years building an awesome game while you wait. Enter a third option: building games on existing platforms and incorporating Web3 mechanics to already huge audiences. Fort Block Games, a US registered company with a fully doxed team, is doing exactly that, crafting gaming experiences inside Roblox and Fortnite and launching unique reward system through their FBG token. They're also pioneering an innovative profit share play and earn model. Try out their Roblox release Escape America 2069 right now with their Fortnite release Sunburn Central coming this quarter. To learn more about their current games, the FBG token, or the in-development competitive shooter, follow the link below. Crypto does not need to be complicated. Cadena is building the human layer of blockchain by giving the power back to the people and allowing them to build products that make a difference for humanity. Founded by ex-JP Morgan and SEC blockchain leads, Cadena develops easy-to-understand, human-readable tools and solutions that focus on the long-term development of the space, not just short-term gains. Simply put, if we want real, regular people to enter and enjoy Web3, Cadena is making a way. To learn more, check out Cadena.io, follow them on Twitter at Cadena_IO, or watch our episode with them. RWA is one of the hottest narratives in 2024, and BlockSquare is actively proving why, as the tokenization infrastructure provider for real estate. Tokenization changes everything, taking us from a world where a property is transacted once a decade to one where hundreds of transactions of that same asset are executed in moments. Any business can use BlockSquare to digitize the value of properties, launch investment platforms, and connect people to tokenized real estate deals. They've got every tool you need, whether you're a business or you want to participate in RWA through Ocean Point, where they've brought almost 100 properties on chain. To learn more, join their Telegram community and listen to our episode with them in the description below.
I'm here to introduce you an AI token. So
Ooh, I like AI.
I feel like we're playing the two big narratives this cycle. I've got Octavia. So Octavia is a token on BNB. So you're avoiding the big expensive ETH gas fees. They are building an AI assistant. So a crypto AI assistant. They're allowing it and they're building it so that it can securely connect to your wallet and conduct activities for you on your behalf. So it can buy or sell tokens, schedule certain orders, buy into pre-sales. It's also going to learn, it's got an active learning memory. So it's supposed to learn your preferences and be able to adapt to you over time. And it can also look at smart contracts and do research and retrieve information about tokens, wallets, and a whole bunch more. So it's really plugged into the blockchain.
Okay. So what kind of use cases do you think you would see this bot, like just in practicality, what would I use it for?
I see it being used for me buying into pre-sales. That's huge. There's some sniper bots out there, but there isn't a ton of them. And generally, from what I've heard from people that do use them, they tend to be not the best. They do miss out. I've also kind of see it as a great way of just, hey, I need some information on this token. This token, someone just told me about this new meme coin on Dex Screener. Give me a rundown of what the contract looks like. What's volume like right now, and give me a quick analysis. Those are two kind of big use cases that I think are pretty interesting for the regular user. And on top of that, they're looking at implementing AI community moderation. So that's community moderation is one of those things that costs projects a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so by having at least partially automated via AI, you could save a project a lot of money, especially at the startup phase. So I think that could generate some pretty massive interest for new projects and for projects building in this space in the next 2 years. Because that part of the project is really, from my understanding, ready, and then at least at an MVP level, and the rest of it is at different levels of development. So it's not fully there yet, but the AI community moderation is ready, and at least at an MVP level for projects to try.
Okay. And I know, I mean, it's funny because AI is going to be another huge narrative that I think will dominate in the next couple of years. I mean, we're seeing it all over the place outside of Web3. Web2 companies are putting AI onto everything. Every other day I see a new company talking about how they're implementing AI to their already existing products. So I think it definitely makes sense. So that some of these tokens will definitely blow up. With that said, though, I feel like there are projects that have been building sort of these things for a while now, and they're not just hopping onto the bandwagon or like just trying to take advantage of that hype. How long has Octavia been in building for?
So their token only launched a few weeks ago.
Okay.
They have been building for, at least from what we can tell in the background, for quite a while. I only found them right around their public token launch. So that I will admit is not great, but I'm looking at their Medium right now, and we've got articles going back to July 7th of 2023.
Okay.
So,
and I mean, it makes sense. You don't always have to launch your token right away, and it's probably smarter for them to launch it once the market's excited and people are really ready to start buying tokens.
Exactly. They did a seed round, and they do have some private sales that happened ahead of time. But looking at it, they had information and talking about their AI assistant integrating with GMX v2 as of early July 2023. So that, I feel, shows, I mean, they've been around for a decent amount of time already.
And what's their current price at? I know that you said they launched a couple of weeks ago. Is the price up? How is their market cap and fully diluted valuation looking like?
So the market cap right now is 30.7 million with a fully diluted of 182 and a half. So valuation of the fully diluted is a little bit high, but the lower market cap, the circulating supply is lower. It's currently trading at $1.82. It had a peak of $2.86, but it launched at right around 57 cents. So it's up.
So like a 3x from its launch.
Yeah, it's up 3x from its launch, and it's did up to a 5x. So it's pulled back a little bit in the last kind of week or so, but it's kind of seems to be holding steady in this range right now.
Yeah, I mean a 3x when it comes to looking at tokens that have launched recently, a 3x is really not bad, because sometimes you look at tokens and you're like, oh, at the low or when they launched they were at 1 cent and now they're at $3. So that's definitely a significant difference from people who bought at that price and where you're buying at. If you're looking at a 3x, sure, there are people who bought at a cheaper price, but I mean, there seems to have been some sales already at the $2.50 mark. So what would 100x look like in terms of market cap?
Looking at market cap of the undiluted, so just the circulating supply, we would be looking at about a $3 billion valuation for 100x. Yeah, it'd be an $18.2 billion market cap fully diluted. So the fully
and how
diluted.
long is it going to take us to get to that fully diluted valuation?
4 years.
4 years from now. Okay.
4 years from now. So right now there's only about like 10%, 12% of the supply is circulating, and it does go up a little bit each month. But we'll reach about 50% around month 12, I believe. Around month 12. So it does kind of climb quickly at first, but then you kind of hit 60%, 70%, and then it starts slowing down from there. So you won't have all tokens in circulation for another 4 years.
Okay.
So
when looking at the project like this, one of the things that I always think about and the questions I ask myself is like, what are the competitors in terms of the space that they're entering? And just from the people that we've talked about on the show before or that we've interviewed on the actual podcast itself, and when it comes to the moderation part, I don't know if we've had anyone on the show or talked about anyone in terms of the moderation, but Chiba Neko, a meme coin that's actually bringing like a translator language bot to Telegram and Discord, is actually trying to help in that moderation area by allowing people from all over the world who speak in different languages to communicate all in one place. So it will translate what you put in Chinese to English automatically without you having to do anything, and puts it all in one chat. So really taking some of that sort of heavy legwork from the moderators themselves. So instead of having 7 different moderators that speak 7 different languages, you can just have one that speaks English and they all just sort of manage one channel. So that I would consider them sort of like a somewhat competitor in that aspect of things, even though they're tackling it a little bit different. And then in terms of the AI assistant, looking at you, helping you look at tokens and find information about that. I know we've had ARK on the show before, and their big thing is like, hey, security, like let's, input a token contract and we'll tell you all the details you need to know, how risk adverse this is and things like that. So they have some pretty big competitors that maybe haven't blown up in the space yet, but that are trying to tackle the same things. How do you think this can stand out from things like that?
So I think the security aspect that ARK is doing, like I think in the end, ARK will probably end up dominating that space for the most part. But I do think some of the, being able to schedule sells, being able to do buy into pre-sales, kind of set up some of that behavior, that AI behavior. I think that part, there isn't really anybody that I know in the space that's doing that. And if they really kind of focus in on that, I really think that they can go quite far, because I think that that is something that is missing for a lot of people in crypto. You can't, like, sometimes there's, pre-sales at like 3 a.m. my time, or, something hits my target price at midnight my time.
Yeah.
And I'm not up for that. But if I can tell my crypto AI assistant to make a sale when X token hits $5, for example, then it will make me that more more efficient in my Web3 experience. And so I think that can really drive it moving forward.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think having something like that will definitely be useful, but it brings another question into my mind of like, how secure can this be, right? Do I mean, I probably would do this myself, but I would probably set up a different wallet that doesn't have any connection to all my other funds, just in case the bot acts in some sort of malicious way or it fails or something. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of the idea, not your keys, not your crypto. Well, now you give access to your keys to something else that's not you. You come into this idea of how secure can this be? Will it mess something up? Will someone else have access to my funds? Have they sort of tackled these questions head on?
They've tackled some of it. One of the big things that they have done is they are Hacken audited. So Hacken does do a pretty deep audit, and they haven't had any major issues that I've seen that were flagged by Hacken. They haven't necessarily talked about having your keys yet. And I think that's partially because when you look at their roadmap, it's still getting to kind of that phase. It's not, they're working on the API for it all to kind of really integrate. And so they're, some of these other aspects are a little bit further down the line, and I think they're waiting till they get there to really develop that full picture.
Okay, so currently, I guess this is my last question. Currently, what are you able to do with the bot itself? So if I were to set it up today, what can I have it do for me?
It's mainly group moderation right now. They've integrated a lot of group moderation, and so that's their MVP. And is it a lot? No, but it's like a lot of Web3 games or most Web3 products. 90% of the time you're buying in early, waiting for everything else to be built out. And so it's like funding a startup. And so that is one feature that is definitely, will it 100x? It might depend on their execution.
Yeah, definitely. And those are definitely the conclusions I'm walking away. So things that I think can potentially make this 100x, that idea of an assistant, and if it's able to do everything I needed to do without me having to interact with it, or me just be able to tell it, hey, look, do these couple things as I'm away, because I'm gonna be away for a week. I don't always have the time to be at my desk all the time. I don't really carry my crypto mobilely as much as I want to do. So if I'm able to do everything like that, that can potentially be huge, because I don't see anyone really doing that sort of idea. But that does come with some risk in terms of the security. How much access am I giving to this bot? Does anyone else have access to this bot? Can they control it from the back end to take some of my funds? Like, one of the things that I'm thinking is like, hey, what if someone manipulates my bot to send all of my crypto to some other wallet? That's definitely a security that you have to think about itself. So it'd be really interesting to see how they go ahead and manage those issues or those security risks down the road. But like you said, it's still very early on. It only launched a couple of weeks. So right now they have the moderation piece of it. So it's definitely going to be like, to wait and see how they go ahead and develop these other aspects of the bot. But something like this, I can definitely see it being worth more than $30 million, like you said. But at a $3 billion market cap with such little utility right now is definitely a stretch, especially when you're thinking about that's only 10% of the circulating supply is actually available right now. $18 billion. I mean, for any sort of project right now is a huge stretch. That puts it at the top of the all just cryptocurrencies in general. So I think 100x will definitely be a long-term play. But I think from a 30 million to a 300 million at 10x here wouldn't be too hard, especially with all the hype and momentum that the market is currently seeing.
Exactly. I'm gonna agree with you. I brought it here. I'm gonna disclose I do hold some. I did buy in at launch. I didn't buy a big bag. Like, I bought $100. It's worth a few hundred now. So just being honest here, I generally agree with you that I think execution will be something really interesting to see. I do feel that if we think to previous cycles, certain major narratives their valuations will blow up ridiculously, not considering circulating supply during the height of the bull market. And so I'm kind of, is this something that could do quite well? They've got a lot of followers on Twitter, about 100, just under 160,000 followers on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
So and they're followed by, there's a few key influencers that I know that are following them, so they're like, they've got some eyes on them. There's eyes on the projects, and they do have some pretty interesting partnerships in the space with like GMX, DAO Maker, Li-Fi, which is Jumper, DuckDAO, DexCheck, and a whole bunch of other kind of either dApps within the Web3 space or investors and builders in the space. And so I think that kind of puts them in a good position, even if there's still a long road ahead.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I should have asked before is, are the people going to have like the token in order to access the bot? Like, hey, you have to have the token in your wallet, or you have to use the token to buy access to the bot for a month and things like that. How are they going to integrate the token to all that?
From my understanding, it's a governance token, and so it'll share in rewards. Up until now, from everything that I've seen, I went through their white paper, and that seems like the method that they're approaching is right now. The token is mainly for governance reasons, and they are potentially looking at kind of integrating the rev share, like we've been seeing other projects approach, since Uniswap made the announcement not that long ago.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be awesome, because I think if they add some utility to that in terms of like, hey, you can either buy the bot with US dollars, USDC, BNB, ETH, whatever you want to call it. But hey, if you want to get a small discount, buy the token and then use it to buy that. And they don't necessarily have to sell it. They can give that back as some rewards to holders and things like that. They can come up with some unique and special ways to go ahead and add some utility to that token. That can drive up the price as well as people start to use it more.
Yeah. And I think what's very interesting is they built Bogged Finance back in 2020 and 2021. So the team knows what they're doing in Web3 a little bit. So
yeah, I've used Block Finance. I used it a lot in the last market, the last bull.
Yeah, so they were responsible for building Bogged Finance, and so it's a team that has previous dev experience and previous Web3 experience, which gave me some additional confidence in what they're doing. But absolutely, I think adding more utility into the token, I hate the word utility, but
some more use cases. I don't know how else we could say it, but yeah. Utility is sometimes a very, very big buzzword.
Exactly. I think that will definitely be a major help for it, and potentially help grow that valuation massively.
Awesome. Well, these were the two tokens that we're reviewing today. If you wanted to learn more about them, go ahead and look at all the links that we have below. Again, as always, none of this is financial advice. As I said, the first project, neither of us hold it. For the second project, Ozzy does hold some. I don't hold some right now, but I might hold both of these tokens in the short future. So keep that in mind. We might have some biases that we're not aware of. But again, we're not telling you to go buy anything. You use your money however you want to use it. And like I said, Gary Gensler, none of this is financial advice. Don't come after us. Ozzy, thank you again for coming and being here with me today while Matthew's out slacking, celebrating his daughter's birthday.
Yeah. Happy to do it. Awesome, man.
Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time.